This past Friday night, we hosted my husband's new students for this coming year. My husband is the director of a program for girls between high school and university, a seminary program. So every year for their first Shabbat after coming to Israel for the year, we host all of them. So this past Friday we had them, and as is the case every year, so they sing. They like singing Shabbat songs, and there's one song that they love to sing. It's a song by Blue Fringe called "Flipping Out." It's a story of someone who comes to Israel and sent by the parents to Israel, and they're hoping that the son is going to come back to attend university. But no, the boy flips out. The boy becomes more religious than the parents. So this is it's like a common phenomenon. And I read the last few days I've been thinking about this article that I read in Mishpacha magazine. There's a column. It's my favorite column in any of the magazines. It's called Lifelines. And it's always like a very it's like an anonymously submitted story by someone who's facing sort of dramatic life challenges, let's say, and how they cope or how they overcome those challenges. So there was a beautiful story this week, which I've been thinking about a lot, as I said, and it's a story of someone. He's a Rosh Yeshiva of a yeshiva, which is sort of a special yeshiva. It's a yeshiva for boys who don't make it in the mainstream yeshivas, but like sort of a yeshiva for boys who are on their way to going off the derech. Like they have issues with drugs or alcohol or whatever, and in many cases, so it's the Rosh Yeshiva tells a specific story about a boy whose parents call him desperate, saying, our son has not been succeeding in his yeshiva, and he has serious problems with alcohol consumption, and so we're hoping that you'll accept him to your yeshiva, and we're hoping just to keep him for one more year in yeshiva, and then after that, I'm going to get him a job. The father says, I'll get him a job like schlepping boxes or something. No hopes for the boy to continue in yeshiva, no hopes for him to be going on to university or anything. Basically, just keep this boy, sober and on his feet and getting a minimum wage job, okay? So what actually ends up happening is the boy is accepted to the yeshiva, and the boy loves yeshiva. He loves this new yeshiva. He ends up really, really taking off and wants to learn all the time, and just becomes like a real masmid, like learning all the time. And so the parents, surprisingly, the parents call up the Rosh Yeshiva and are furious. They are livid. They're like, what have you done to our son? In the end, he said, they're like, in the end, what's gonna happen? In the end, we're gonna have like a crowd of if he keeps on becoming more and more learning and more firm like this, we're gonna have like a crowd of like Lakewood grandchildren. Like, what's gonna be? What have you done to our son? And the Rosh Yeshiva's response, which is what I've been thinking about, I thought it was very, very beautiful and very, very right on. He says, too bad you feel that way. Because when you reach 120, when you pass on from this world, the grandchildren who are going to be saying Mishnayot for your dearly departed souls are your Lakewood grandchildren. In the end, you're going to have so much special nachat from your Lakewood grandchildren. I thought this was such a poignant, and in the end, actually, that was what happened. So the boy actually came to Israel, ended up learning here, ended up getting married, and moved to Lakewood, and actually then ended up having a crowd of Lakewood grandchildren. And the parents actually did have a tremendous amount of nachat from those Lakewood grandchildren. Okay, so the reason I'm talking about this is because when I read this, I could really relate to it, even though my own hashkafic journey has not been to whatever kind of Orthodox this boy grew up as, and then moving on to becoming, a Lakewood kind of guy. My hashkafic journey was more from going from not religious to being observant like I am now. And I think initially it was very, very difficult for my parents. It was very, very, very difficult for them. I started keeping kosher, I started keeping Shabbat, and I started wearing skirts all the time and all the various things that I do, and like having all these kids, you know, okay, I have 2 kids, 3 kids, 4 kids, but so many kids, you know. And but in the end, I think my parents, you know, even though like they sort of like you know, they weren't, there were various stages of my religious journey that where they weren't so thrilled with my decisions or whatever. The special nachat that they get from their, you know, I guess not Lakewood grandchildren, from their Jerusalem grandchildren, it's something very, very special. They see like these are good kids growing up with solid values, solid tradition, love Judaism, love their grandparents, you know, Skype with them every Friday, visit them every summer, and really they had special nachat from their Jerusalem grandchildren. So the reason I'm talking about this is because I think, you know, this week our kids are starting school. And I think that in many, many cases, a lot of moms are dealing with a child who, you know, who in some way is disappointing to them. Let's say, you know, we mothers, like, we have a dream that our child is sort of going to grow up to be, that all of our children will grow up to be sort of like mini me's. You know, be sort of a mini me, but sort of more successful. You know, my mini me, my child who was accepted to this high school, was accepted to this prestigious seminary, or this yeshiva, or this university, or this profession, or whatever. Whatever we can, you know, we want the best for them. We sincerely do. I think probably a bit of it is motivated by ego. You know, how we can we can a little bit brag about them, or a little bit drop the name of the, you know, the college that they were accepted to at the shul kiddush. Makes us feel good. Makes people look at us like, oh, I wonder who she is. That she has a daughter who's going to such and such university. You know, but I think that, you know, many moms are dealing with a child who's not living up to expectations. Maybe even a small child, you know, a child in 1st grade, 2nd grade, who's not living exactly up to the expectations of being the mini me, the more successful version of the me, of you. Okay, but I think that from this story about the Lakewood grandchildren and my own personal story, I think it's important for us to take a step back and realize in the end, you know, even though a child's life journey is not exactly following exactly the path that we had hoped for them, I think that in most cases, I think we can still, as we see them grow and we see them go through their own life journey, I just heard something so beautiful, that every person, you know, we learn in the Torah that the Jewish people had 42 journeys in the desert, and that every single person has 42 journeys. Right, every single person, all of us, and so I think that whatever journey we take, whatever journey our child ends up taking of those 42 life journeys, I think in the end, like when we see how they go and how they turn out, that we can really, really get a tremendous amount of nachat from them, from seeing how they turn out in the lives they lead. Okay, I want to bless all of the children of Am Yisrael with a very, very successful start to their school year, and I want to bless all of you Jewish moms. It's a hectic week. I want to bless all of you Jewish moms with a very, very good week and very sweet return to routine. Kol Tuv.